Was that Hoosiers?
Yeah, that's just I just wanted to see
Okay.
if my screen would change. Got to keep you on
I
your
was going to
toes.
say there
Okay.
is a tournament tonight,
So
right?
good evening, everyone. You could be anywhere else, but we're happy that you're here. So I am tonight's Toastmaster of the evening, and tonight the theme is on building a team, and we are all a team working towards a common goal. So with that, I'd like to introduce the Zoom tech host, Mike Pruitt.
I am the general evaluator for tonight and tech host. Okay, you say
Thank
so.
you. Now over to the Sergeant at Arms, Kawaza Mara.
Wow, thank you, Lisa. Yes, my name is Kawazi Amara, and I am doing a little bit of double duty. One of the first hats that I'll be wearing is Sergeant at Arms and assisting with calling this meeting to order.
Thank you so much. Would you like to read the mission statement?
No, I don't have it
Okay,
in front of
Cynthia,
me.
would you like to read the mission statement? You're muted, Cynthia.
I can read it.
Thanks, Mike. We appreciate you.
It's on the top of the agenda. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth.
Thank you so much, Mike. I want to point out before we move on that the mission statement is to be read at every club throughout the world prior to the meeting started. And while many clubs have individual purposes, as a Toastmasters club, we all share in a common mission. Thank you so much, Mike. We appreciate you. So now I'd like to pass the mic back to the club president, Kawaza Amara.
Great. Well, thank you for that information. And thank you for letting us know that we now have something, a new piece of club opening formality to be included. Welcome, everybody, to Vision Masters Toastmasters. This is a club that definitely encourages everyone to express themselves through developing their voice. We all have something to say. Our theme for tonight's meeting is team building. To that end, we are going to be regaled with a keynote speaker, Alex Balish, who will be talking about team building. I would also like to welcome, excuse me, not Alex, visiting our club for the first time. And I'd also like to welcome anyone else who is a guest. I don't see them in our room here. So welcome. Definitely looking forward to hearing from your speech and getting some ideas and tips from you on team building. It's a word that gets bandied about quite a bit, but I'm sure you'll give us some real insights on what it is and how to make it happen. I will now pass the virtual lectern to our Toastmaster for the evening, Lisa Thompson, DTM, and Assistant Division D Director.
Thank you so much, Kawaza. As Toastmaster, I'd like to point out that the evening is broken into 3 general sections. The first section is prepared speeches, and tonight we have a fabulous prepared speech by our own Alex Balish, and we also have one from Wade, Dr. Wade Cartwright. And then we also have impromptu speeches, and we have a wonderful table topics master tonight. Good evening, Hank. And then we have our third section, perhaps the most important, and that is for evaluations overall, as well as the timing and grammarian. So with that, I'd like to introduce the grammarian counter, Wesson.
If I may interrupt, before we have Weston come to the lectern, can we have the general evaluator come to the lectern?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm reading off of your agenda and that was not on here, so I
And
assumed that
I just
it
want to
was
make
being
sure
done
that,
differently.
oops, that Hank gets identified. Oops, sorry, hold on.
You're on mute, Cynthia. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I have two devices. That Hank is our timer tonight. We're so excited. This is like, I think the third time he's done his timing role. And Dr. Wade is going to do the table topics. So I wanted to make sure that was clear in the agenda. Is that right? Lisa,
It's not particularly clear, so I'm not sure. Can we pass the meeting over to our general evaluator?
Yes,
Thank you.
Okay.
And who is our general
Toastmasters.
evaluator tonight?
I am the general evaluator tonight, Mike Pruitt. I have posted a copy of the agenda in the chat. If you want to click on it, you can look at it. And my job is to manage the evaluation team. And our team members on evaluation are Wes Sahai as our counter grammarian and Hank Cartwright as timer. We will have two evaluators. I will be one, and for Alex, and then Kawaza will be evaluator number 2 for Wade's speech. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much for explaining that. And did we want to let the timer say what the timer does?
yes, the GE will call on the timer to explain his role and duties.
Thank you. I forgot about that. So Hank, would you tell us about your role as a timer?
Okay, yes, as timer, I will time the table topic speakers, formal speeches, and evaluations. I will also alert each speaker of the time they have left using the green, yellow, and red cards, which will denote the specific times remaining. For the tables topic speeches, at 1 minute, I'll put up a green card, and then at 1 minute and 30, it will be yellow, and then at 2 minutes, it will be red. And then let's see, other speeches, for the 5 to 7 minute speeches, I'll put up the green at 5 minutes and yellow at 6 minutes and the red at 7 minutes. And the for individual evaluations, I will put up a green card at the 2 minute mark, and then at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will put up a yellow, and then red at 3 minutes for the evaluations that will be 2 to 3 minutes long. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Hank. And I just want to make a note that for our guest speaker, we have a special speech. It'll be 8 minutes. So the timing will be green at 6, yellow at 7, and red at 8.
Mike, it's a 13 to 15 minute speech.
Oh, 13 to 15. Thank you.
Yes, that's okay. I was going to ask you actually when the cards come up.
Okay.
and then sorry.
You're muted, Cynthia.
Cynthia, you're muted.
You gave the timing for the Q&A session. That's 6 to 8 minutes.
Okay,
So there's
the-
two timings for the keynote speech.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
for the first one, the 13 to 15 minutes, the green at 13 and the yellow at 14 and the red at 15. Okay? And then after that, we'll have the question and answer with the 6, 7, and 8.
Great,
Okay,
thank you
great.
so much, Mike.
So,
Okay, can we
Wes.
introduce the grammarian?
yeah, Wes, would you explain your role?
Okay, I will try as my role as a grammarian to look for a nice word, and I'm gonna count arms and us like a filler words, and we have to pay attention to how to use them. And I'm gonna listen for the word of the day, which is encouragement. So I will encourage everyone to use the word of the day, and if I hear any engaging or any nice, exciting words or any phrases, I'll listen for those two. So I'm looking forward to hear a good speech, and that's it. And I'll give reports.
Great, thank you so much, Wes, and we appreciate it. If you could put the word of the day in the chat with a sentence using the word of the day as an example, we'd appreciate it. Is there anyone that would like to use the word of the day, encouragement, in a sentence now so that we can have that as an example?
Sure, I'd like to use the word of the day in a sentence.
Thank you so
One
much,
of the
Rosa.
positive aspects of being in Toastmasters is that being part of a club where you have an opportunity to not only learn how to speak, but to give your message is a strong encouragement for all would-be speakers.
That's one of the longest sentences I think I've heard today. If you could put that in the chat, we would really
I got it.
appreciate that.
I got it.
Thank you so much, Mike.
That was a paragraph.
Yeah, that was a long sentence. It was one sentence, but it was particularly long.
It
So
was
you get
beautiful.
the prize for that one, Kawaza. Thank you. It comes to my attention that we have not had an inspirational note yet. So before we go any further, do we have someone that is the queen or king of inspiration? Okay, I'm going to give one. With this being Donors Month, my quote is living donors make miracles happen. And I am very impassioned and have a lot of encouragement for people who are considering donation of any sort. And that includes monetary donation to this club as well as to the district. And if you're interested in donating an organ, you can talk more to me about it later. So living donors make miracles happen. And thanks to my living donor, I am still here. So with that, let's move on. Mike, would you like to introduce our guest speaker, please?
Sure. Alex Balish is a podcaster and a CRP trainer. He is the Sergeant at Arms of Leaders Worldwide Toastmasters Club. He is the Leaders Worldwide champion of the International Speech Competition and will be representing the club at the area contest on March 14th. Today, Alex is presenting a speech from the Leadership Excellence series, Building a Team. This series shows how to build the skills to become successful leaders inside and outside Toastmasters. Alex Balish, Building a Team. Building a Team, Alex Balish.
There's a tradition in tournament play to not talk about the next step until you've climbed the one in front of you. I'm I'm sure going to the state finals is beyond your wildest dreams, so let's just keep it right there. Forget about the crowds, the size of the school, their fancy uniforms, and remember what got you here. Focus on the fundamentals that we've gone over time and time again. And most important, don't get caught up thinking about winning or losing this game. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners. Okay? All right! Let's go! Let's go! Let me hear it! Go, 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 go!
Welcome to the mute button. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters all around the world. My name is Alex Balish, and today I would love to talk to you about teamwork and how that is important. The reason why I showed that clip was that was 8 gentlemen from a small town in Indiana who came together to do one of the most unbelievable things, win the state championship. Whether you are a small individual person in a corporate environment or an entrepreneur like myself, it does not matter. You can be successful. And when we're talking about success, there's no real I in team. And what does that mean? You have to have some benefits in terms of you have to have various skills. Now, I teach CPR, and I'm also a referee for football. And I've refereed a whole bunch of sports as well as coached. And what I always tell people is there's leaders and there's followers. And as a coach, that leader must figure out what everybody's strengths are, and more importantly, what their weaknesses are. So as a leader, you must have a plan and have a mission for the group. Spend less day on the day-to-day, but more on the supervision and activities. When you have your team, you have all of your role players. If we look at this group right here, this group is a team. We have a timer, we have a Zoom master, we have a general evaluator, we even have a Toastmasters of the day and guests. Everybody plays their role, and the Toastmaster and the general evaluator work together, hopefully, the same way the timer and the Toastmaster of the day work together. Even the timer and the speaker work together. We all have assigned roles, and knowing our roles and staying within our lane is the key. We want to have measurable goals, and we want to lay out what is going on. One of the best things about this team tonight was we found out what time everything was. There was a little snafu, wasn't there? Because of that snafu, we corrected it so it didn't become bigger than what it was. This speech is a certain amount of time. The question and answer is a separate time. Empowerment. Empowerment is the key. Encouragement. You want to put people in positions to be successful. One of the best jobs I ever had was I worked at Starbucks. And my general manager told me, I don't put a person in a shift. I want to put a person in a position. What does that mean? I can throw anybody in on the floor for a shift, but if I get the right person, they will have that position for a long time. And every single one of you, as I'm looking at you, have talents. It's about putting those people in those positions to win. Now, training the team is important. And I have to tell you, as a CPR instructor, I train people all the time. I take people like a piece of clay and I mold them. And then by the end of the class, they know how to do CPR. Are they the most confident? Maybe. but they might be still a little scared. At the end of the day, they have the knowledge. Now, I also do OSHA training. And one of the biggest problems that I find when you go into a corporate environment, I take a person like Michael, for instance, if he's been doing this job for years, what am I going to tell him about his job? Nothing. I'm going to come to him and train him to make sure he's getting the best that he can out of his job, so he's as safe as he can be. And that's what this is about. There's one major rule in safety. Everybody deserves to come home the way they came. Yes, there's more rules than that, but if you were crazy before, you deserve to go home crazy to your family, and vice versa. We don't want anybody getting hurt on the job. We don't want anybody to get hurt, whether it's their feelings or whatever else. As a ref, there's 3 teams on the field. On Sunday, we've got the Super Bowl. There's the 49ers, there's the Swifties, the Kansas City Chiefs, and there's the officials. And if those officials aren't trained, and if they don't know how to do their job and be in the right position, it's just as big a much of a mistake as the players not doing what they're doing. We try to come up with solutions to problems. And as a trainer, I always encourage the kids that I teach in CPR, also the kids that I teach in babysitting, if you're going to have a problem, try to come up with a solution. Don't just come with the problem. Because solution-based problems, at least we have a starting point. And the way you do that is by being organized, going down your checklist. And the one thing out of this whole entire piece of paper or this slide is communication. The lack of communication is the biggest problem in the world. There's a statistic out there. The 3rd reason why people die in the hospital, it's one word. It's communication. They cut the wrong leg. They give the wrong medication. And if you think I'm crazy, how many times have you had surgery and somebody asked you, what are you there for? To the point where you're like, my name is Alex Balish and I'm here for this. They actually write on your arm, not this arm. And they do that because they want that closed loop communication. Now, what is closed loop communication? If I wanted something, and let's say this was an in-person meeting, and I wanted something from Cynthia, I'd say, Cynthia, can I have that pen? And what would Cynthia say? Here's that pen. So there's no question that that pen is what we want. Now, when we have our communication, we also want to have a couple of other things. We want to have our high morals. We want to have pride in our work. I was very blessed. I grew up, I went by, sorry about that, little snafu there, but we'll work with it. I was very blessed. My father owned a liquor store. Yep, he wore a shirt and a tie every day to work. And he was a very prideful man. Why? Because that's what you did back then. You learned how to make change, which we don't do anymore. We own this for over 100 years, my family. When I was 8, I had to use the featherer to get all the dust off the bottles. I used the gun to make sure that it was all done. But my dad always told me, come up with ideas and we'll talk about it. So be willing to take the risk. Be willing to be open to change. Be willing to have conflict, but come up with a solution. And I think that last one, we all need to do. We can agree to disagree and still go out to eat. The problem is in these times, we're very black and white or red and whatever. And we need to learn how to agree to disagree, but still work together. Because at the end of the day, we still need to what? Do our jobs. Do your job. And the way we do that is by communication. Another little tidbit that I love sharing with people is a lot of Fortune 500 companies, when they're applying for, when they have people coming in applying for jobs, there's two major groups that they look at more than anybody. People in the military and Division I and Division II athletes. Why? The reason being is they understand the chain of command, they understand that they have a job, and they understand how to follow through. And that, my friends, is the key to a successful team. But leadership comes from the top, doesn't it? And what I love to say is you have to have the perfect leader in the top. And that perfect leader has to know their limitations. That perfect leader has to have great people under them. They have to know how to problem solve. They also have to know how to be a coach, a mentor, and they also have to be a great listener. I'm a big World War II buff, and I've been watching one of the greatest shows ever, which is Band of Brothers. It's 10 episodes. It's about a special group of men that went into Normandy, into Europe, and did a job that nobody else could do. Their commander went from major to running the whole unit on the first day. On the first day, his officer, the officer in charge, had passed away in a plane crash that day over D-Day. He had a field commission, and he had two choices. He either crumbled or he led. But he knew he had confidence in himself as well as confidence in his staff. And the biggest problem is people have a tendency to micromanage. And in leadership, you can't micromanage. My mom used to say, you give them enough rope to hang themselves. That's a different story. But my point being is you want to give them enough rope so that if you need to reel them in, you can. And that's why you are the supervisor. You are setting the standard. As a football coach, we used to use the term team. Together, everyone achieves more. And if you have that attitude, great things will happen. We're in a time right now where my grandparents and my great-grandparents were part of the greatest generation. And there was pride in being part of this wonderful machine, this wonderful melting pot called America. We've had problems always, but right now, when you talk about leadership and you talk about the corporate environment, there's not a lot of pride in a team. It's more pride in individual. And that's why, in a lot of cases, there seems to be more challenges than ever before. People need to come together and they need to know the roles. Thank you, everyone. I would love to answer any questions that you have.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You said that you coach and referee multiple sports.
Yes, sir.
This is very impressive. What all sports do you coach and referee?
I coach field hockey. I have reffed field hockey one season, but I coach my daughter in field hockey. I've coached lacrosse in the past, boys and girls. I've also coached football. I've coached lacrosse at the college level down to the elementary school level, and I've also done high school all the way down, and was honored enough to be on a couple of state playoff games.
Very good.
That's impressive. Your speech was really excellent. Thank you so much, Alex. Are there other questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Barbara, you're muted, Barbara, before you begin your question. There you go.
Beautiful. I really enjoyed your speech, Alex and Barbara. You mentioned a World War II movie. I didn't catch the name.
It's not a World War II movie. It's a mini series on HBO. It's called Band of Brothers. And it's Band of Brothers, and it's the premiere. It's basically how the Airborne was founded. And it's 10 episodes, and it's really, you want to talk about leadership. There's more leadership and teamwork values and examples than I could go into in this short amount of time.
That was great. I was so inspired by the idea of discipline and working together. It now reminds me of my daughter and her husband are in the military, and how much pride comes with that and performance. So
I didn't go in the military for a bunch of reasons. My brother was retired full bird colonel. My great uncle was on the second wave of D-Day, as well as all my great uncles were part of World War II. My dad was in the military. He missed Korea and he missed me at Vietnam, thank God. And the military is a very special place. It's not for everyone, but I've been around the military environment between the Red Cross as well as other things. It creates a certain level of expectation. And that's what I think is important for teamwork, whether it's a sports team or whether it's a corporate team.
thank you. That's beautiful.
Any other
Yes, sir.
questions? Kawaza. Oh, you're muted, Kawaza.
Alex, definitely appreciated your speech. You are a CPR trainer, and as I was listening to your speech, you were talking about communication, and what came to mind for me was that for someone who has to instruct persons in particular skills, some of which they may or may not be familiar with, but they have to develop a particular level of proficiency. So in the communication that you do as an instructor, I'm thinking, one, you got to give the information. You also got to encourage them that, yeah, you can do this. And in a way, even though they're individuals, we are all doing this together and we can all achieve this. So, and it's like you're building a team, even though they are individuals there. So I'm just thinking, can you just speak to how your communication skills in addressing what seems to be disparate people put together for one particular purpose?
Well, you know what? I start from the minute they walk in the door. I ask them, why are they there? I want to know as much information about all of you so that I can use that. So if you are a person that works in the medical field and someone right next to you is just doing this because they have a grandkid, and somebody else is doing it because they have to do it because their job is telling them to do it because they're a tree worker, I have to make sure every single person feels comfortable. I was in a class where I had a thoracic surgeon team and a person that never learned CPR in their life. And you know what you do? You find little things. I am very lucky that I'm an American Red Cross and American Heart instructor. The program itself teaches itself. What I'm there to do is to be their cheerleader and just tweak them to the point that they have confidence. One of the things that I have to do, and my wife's a teacher, and I tell her that she has a harder job sometimes than I have a harder job because she does the God's work. She's a middle school science teacher, but I have to deal with adults, which is worse than any of them because they're all looking at their phones. They're too busy. And I have to, within an hour, get them to feel like they want to do this. Now, the class isn't an hour, it's 2.5 hours, but I got to at least get them in there an hour so at least they want to do something. And that's what it's about, because if I can encourage you to do something like calling 911 right, then what have I done? I've empowered you. I've encouraged you. I have made sure that you are so pumped up. You're like the guy in Hoosiers that's clapping it up. Here we go. And that's what this is about. It's about getting people excited about being excited about health and wellness. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to do. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to CPR, 9 times out of 10, you're going to know the person. You're not going to be like me as an EMT who is going into someone's house. And that's where the difference is. And there's always 2 patients. So you have the patient and you have the person on the side, the family member. So those are the things that we try to think about. And when it comes to that whole team building exercise, I tell my new nursing students and I tell anyone in a field, do your job, don't do anybody else's. And I'm going to leave it on this. And it goes back to a sports reference. If you're ever in the game and you're the best player, if you're the Michael Jordan of the team, make that coach force him to not take you out of the game. What does that mean? That means that you're so good at your job, he has to keep you in the game. The way you do that is by education, is about knowing your job and doing your job and being the right role player, because there's not any one role player. If you have 10 people on the field, there's 10 role players, whether it's a Michael Jordan or whether it's a Dennis Rodman or whether it's the guy that's doing the concession. Everybody has to play their role and they have to do it together to be in harmony.
Thank you.
That was very inspiring. I hope that Alex has inspired you to take a role for this team, our club, going forward, because teamwork makes the dream work. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
And back to you, Kawaza, to introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Our next speaker is Wade Cartwright. He is speaking from the Pathways Team Collaboration, Level 1, writing a speech with purpose. This is a 5 to 7 minute speech. Dr. Cartwright is a medical doctor specializing in otoĺaryngology, ear, nose, and throat, in Oakland, California. He has been in Toastmasters since 2014 and has served in several club officer and area director positions. He is currently Vice President of Membership and Secretary of the Vision Masters Toastmasters Club. He is also the Vision Masters Speechcraft Coordinator. The title for Dr. Cartwright's speech is Help with Toastmastering. Help with Toastmastering, Dr. Wade Cartwright.
Good evening, everyone. The title is kind of deceiving. It should actually be help when needed. Can you hear me? Help when needed. So what I'm going to do is tell a story, and then I'm going to relate that to our Toastmastering. Now this story goes way back to when I was in medical school, many years ago, in 19 blah, 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 blah. And my sophomore year, my wife was getting ready to have a baby, so she went to the doctor with her bags packed, and she was supposed to go to the hospital that day and have the baby, but the doctor he had a date to play tennis that afternoon, so he sent her home and told her that the baby's not ready to come yet. When this happens and that happens, you call me or be on your way to the hospital. So as soon as she got home, she said, this baby, I think is ready to come. And I said, are you sure? And she said, yeah, I'm pretty sure. So we jumped in the car, put her back in the car, and started driving to the hospital. This was in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We were about 20 miles away from the hospital. So I drove as fast as I could. And then when we got almost there, actually, we were behind the Phi Chi Medical Fraternity House at that time. And she said, the baby's coming. And so I stopped the car. And lo and behold, there were two of my classmates behind the Phi Chi Fraternity House. So I told her, come over. And they came over. And as soon as they found out what the situation was, they decided to help. So I was in the driver's seat, and one of my classmates got behind the wheel. The other one got in the front seat, passenger seat. I got in the back seat and tried to assist with this baby coming out. So we drove to the hospital, but the baby came out real easy. I didn't have to do very much, but to catch it. But the baby wasn't breathing, and I got kind of nervous. So I turned the baby upside down and hit it on the back and did all the things that I imagined could possibly help, but she wasn't breathing. So I was really nervous. So when we got almost to the hospital, I could detect some very shallow breaths. And by the time we got into the emergency room parking lot, and the nurses came out, she had a strong cry. And I was relieved. And so the nurses came out with a blanket to take the baby. The baby was born outside the hospital, so couldn't go to the nursery. Had to go somewhere else in the hospital. So they were getting ready to take the baby away. And as I said, wait a minute, let me take a look. And I took a look, and it was a girl. So that's my story. But let me relate that to Toastmasters. In Toastmasters, there is help. When we need it, there is help, and there's always help needed. There's always help needed. So and right now this club is in need of officers for the next year. So let me just invite everyone who's interested to think about which office you would like to hold in the next year. Now, I am the chairman of the nominating committee, being the immediate past president. And I will be talking to everybody and maybe twisting some arms, but help is needed. And part of Toastmastering is being helpful. So back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Wade. I heard that the other night, but it was even more powerful tonight. And I loved how you tied it together with the need for more officers in the club. the only way this club's going to survive is by the strength of its officers. So I think that it's just so important that people that are willing and able step up, and that people start bringing more guests with them. It's a great club. We just need to grow. So thank you again, Wade. It was a pleasure. And let's go on to the next portion of tonight's meeting, which is table topics, and our able and amazing table topics master. Over to you, table topics master.
Well, here I am again, table topics master. Let me be creative, and let's start with quotations. Let's start with favorite quotations. I want everybody to take a moment and think about what is your favorite quotation. And I'm going to pick someone to give us a quotation, and I'm going to pick someone else to talk about it. So let me pick on Cynthia to give us her favorite quotation.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, Mr. Table Topics Master. And I'm to give the quote, and then someone else is going to talk about it. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My favorite quote is from John F. Kennedy. And he said, "The only reason to speak or give a speech is to change the world. The only reason to give a speech is to change the world."
Okay, now I can pick someone, but does anyone have a burning desire to talk about that? No, since no one has a burning desire, I'm going to have some fun, and I'm going to talk. I'm going to point to Alex.
You got it, sir. I think in these times, it is just as relevant as it always has been. I do believe that, especially with social media and the way we consume our news, anyone can have a quote, anyone can say anything, but the problem is it's just a lot of white noise, and there's a lot of great auditors or speakers out there that are getting drowned out by the TikToks and the Instagrams of the world. It can work any other way, but right now it's hard to find the great words by great people. And I think that quote is probably more relevant now than ever before.
Thank you, Alex. So who has, and thank you, Cynthia, who has a favorite quotation that we can, that they would like to share? Mike?
I have lots of favorite quotations. See how many I can squeeze in 2.5 minutes. So, my wife and I recently celebrated our 46th anniversary. And I told one of my friends about it, and he's in his 50s. He's never been married. He said he thinks it's better to be happily single than unhappily married. So his attitude reminds me of some quotes that I have heard. Number one, there are 3 rings in marriage: the engagement ring, the wedding ring, and the suffering. Another quote I've heard is, the secret of a happy marriage remains a secret. And another one is about the guy who thought he was sure he married Mrs. Right, but he didn't know her name. Her first name was Always. But on the other hand, there are some ways that you can nurture your marriage. Remember these quotes. There are two times when a man doesn't understand a woman: before marriage and after marriage. And when you have a discussion with your wife, always get in these last two words. Yes, dear. And relationships require nurturing. So you should go out for a date once a week at 12:59. Why 12:59? That way you can get some one-to-one time. Oh, by the way, I told my wife that joke about the guy who's married Mrs. Wright. He didn't know her name was always. And my wife said, "That's right." Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Mike, for giving us your favorite quotes. Now, who would like to pick one of those quotes and talk about it? Okay. Barbara, would you like to do that?
Hi. I was looking for the Rumi quote that I like, but I can't find that one. I like Rumi, and Rumi says, oh, this one's good. Do not grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form. Do not grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form. That's pretty nice.
Okay, so any mighty mo, let me pick someone to talk about that.
I can take that one.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, this, I may cry. I'm gonna try really hard not to. So my mom passed almost 2 years ago. It's her yard site is February 16th. And I believe that she's come back as a whale. So she was living in California because that's where my brother lived, and so she was out there where she felt comfortable with her middle child, who in many ways was her favorite. And she was ready to pass, and did, and I think she was in a better place afterwards. And my sister-in-law and I went out on a whale watching ship. And I love whale watching. I love being on boats. I love being in the ocean and the river. And this was a very uncommon trip because there was a pair of gray whales, or there were a pair of gray whales. Somebody, whoever is the grammarian, can tell me later. And this pair stayed with the boat the entire time we were out there. And the captain commented that this had never happened before, that in all the times for about 40 years that he had captained this boat of the whale watching trip, that it was never there. And they would spot the gray whales in the distance, but this pair of gray whales was right on top of the ship, and they were actually spouting, and you could get covered with their slime. They were so close and just absolutely beautiful. And we were convinced that it was my parents whose ashes were scattered in the immediate area. And I was able to talk to my mom and to my dad, and just really feel very, very connected. So I believe my parents, who both actually passed in California, very close to the ocean, had come back as this pair of whales and spent the entire afternoon in their beautiful gracefulness and making sounds and splashes, and it was just mesmerizing. So I hope that you find your loved ones coming back in a form to spend time with you. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Lisa, for that. So onward. Mr. Toastmaster, do we have, how much time do we have? Do we have time for one more, two more, or three more, or just one more? Okay, so let me, Quasi, give me your favorite. And I'm going to pick out someone who hasn't shared yet.
I can give a quote. So when I first did my first and only Toastmasters competition, the quote that I needed to do for a table topic was, "Your attitude determines your direction." So I would encourage someone to do, "Your attitude determines your direction."
So, Barbara, do you want to take that one?
Can you say it? Great. Your attitude, could you say the rest, Lisa?
Your attitude determines your direction. Your attitude determines your direction.
Oh, that is so true. And in that quote is the word of encouragement to the person getting that message. So the attitude of receiving what the message was all about, or giving the message to uplift, support, and create a safe space for people is, well, it's my goal. So with the right attitude, everyone gets uplifted and encouraged. I think that's the beauty of right attitude. Great question. In my work, I work with animals and people, and without that, people are really, if they're in, in fear about something about what's going wrong with their animal, it's really important that I hold the space for the right attitude, the encouragement, support for solutions to happen. I don't think solutions happen in a vacuum. I think it's with, with the support. And usually it's a good outcome in that case.
Well, thank you, Barbara, for your wisdom there. And do we have time for one more, Quasi?
Oh, Lisa's the Toastmaster. She would let us know.
That's right, Lisa.
Is there one more person that hasn't gone?
Weston has been mighty quiet.
Sure, let's do one more then, and then we'll be done.
Okay, let me pick on Weston to give us her favorite quote.
My favorite quotes.
I thought Wes was gonna do the speech and we needed a quote for her.
Do the speech. Well, hold on. I'm
Wes
the
was gonna
master.
answer the table topic, right?
I'm the table topic master. So hold on, please. So Weston, take it away.
Are you giving me a quote or should I give you a quote?
Can you give us a quote, your favorite quote?
Okay, I have a lot, but one of my favorite quotes is I believe he was owner of Virgin Airlines or something, Richard Branson, I don't know, but he said, if you got an opportunity, amazing opportunity, and if you don't know how to do it, say yes and learn how to do it later. If you got some opportunity, like if you're afraid, just say yes, then learn how to do it later. And that quote I like it because I quit because of I'm afraid I don't know how to do it. Because of unknown, I always quit. So it's better to jump in. So that's my favorite quote, one of my favorite quotes.
Has everyone had a chance to participate in table topics? Let me see. Cynthia, have you had a chance to participate?
I gave a quote, but I can respond to Weston's amazing quote.
Oh, great. Okay, well, let's hear your response.
So my yoga master had a version of that quote. He said, if you're asked to volunteer, don't even find out what it's for and say yes. Take the opportunity. Go for the opportunity. And I took his advice when I was at my very first TLI, Toastmasters Leadership Institute. And I was there to hear Darren LaCroix teach us how to add humor to our speeches. And I was not very humorous. I was very nervous and scared, and it was very difficult for me to give speeches. So he asked for volunteers, and so I said, I volunteer, because that's what Master Park has said to do. And I found out we were all going to give a speech on stage in front of 300 people. And I was like the 7th person in line. And by the time it got to me, my knees were buckling and I almost passed out. I had that black circle coming in, and I said, breathe, Cynthia, breathe. And I breathed, and I caught my breath, and I was able to respond with something powerful, but I don't even remember what I said. But I said something. I said something in front of 300 people, and that was the first time ever I spoke in front of 300 people on the stage. And even though I came to the brink of almost passing out, I felt so empowered that I was there and that I stuck with the course and I stayed with it. I felt so encouraged that I can speak, and I want to speak more. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
That was a wonderful response. I'm glad you're still speaking. So let me see, what time is it? Is it? Should we continue with this, or?
I think we're good and ready to move on, if that's okay with you, Dr. Wade.
Great, I am.
Thank you so much. That was a great idea on how to do a table topic session. I had never heard that done before, and I loved it. Thank you so much, Dr. Wade. We really, really appreciate you. So I would like to now move on to our general evaluator. My turn as Toastmaster is pretty much done, and the mic is all yours, Mike.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Boy, we've had a great meeting up to this point, and now it's time for us to do the evaluation portion of our meeting. The first person on the agenda is me. And my assignment is to evaluate Alex Balish on his presentation, Building a Team. Now, my first question on the evaluation is, how effective was the speaker's introduction in helping the audience understand the purpose of the Leadership Excellence series? Well, the introduction talked about Alex as a podcaster and a CPR trainer, sergeant of arms at Toastmasters, and the champion of the international speech competition. And I was like, well, I guess maybe they had a little bit of team building and all those things. But I really loved hearing as we went through the speech that he had been a coach for many different sports and had led a team to a state championship. That would have been helpful, and using the introduction to build up your credibility as a team builder. Another question was the presenter adequately prepared, and how heavily did the presenter rely on notes? Well, I love that he jumped right into the speech with this video at the beginning. And it was about a coach of a small town team who I think they led to be state champions. I couldn't tell if he was using notes. His speech was very smooth. There was little or no hesitation. He had lots of interesting stories, and I think he was very well prepared. Then it says, how did the speaker use vocal variety to enhance the presentation? His speech was steady. It was loud enough to keep my attention. There wasn't a lot of vocal variety, but it was interesting enough to keep my attention, and I really enjoyed that part about it. What other techniques did the speaker use to personalize and augment the presentation? Were they effective? I like that he talked about his experience as a coach and referee for many sports. That was very interesting. And did the speaker display visuals smoothly in appropriate times? Yep, he has slides, great PowerPoint slides. Those were wonderful. And what aspect of the speaker's presentation style did you find unique? I loved his stories. He had great stories, one after another. One about working at Starbucks, one about being a CPR instructor, OSHA instructor, lots of experience. And gave some interesting examples. So they asked, could the material easily provide information to help us improve our leadership skills? I like the way he mentioned some things like training and checklists and communication. He gave us a story about the third reason people die in hospitals, because of communication. And if you don't believe me, remember the first thing they ask you, what are you here for? But they actually write on your arm, not this arm. I thought that might be helpful to somebody. Anyway, it was a great speech. I really appreciate it, especially the way you ended with the word team. Together, everyone achieves more. Great speech. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator. Thank you, Mike. Great evaluation. Okay. Our next evaluator to evaluate speaker number 2 is Kawaza Imara, evaluating the speech of Dr. Cartwright, Kawaza Imara.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. The title of Dr. Cartwright's speech was Help When Needed. The format that I have parallels what Mike went through for Alex Balish's speech. How effective was the speaker's introduction in helping the audience understand the purpose of the Leadership Excellence series? The title kind of gave a hint, but the actual introduction somewhat belied the purpose of the speech, as it was not until the speech was nearing its end that we definitely got, this is what this is about. Was the presenter adequately prepared? Yes. Did they rely on notes? No. What Dr. Wade used was storytelling. Storytelling is a method that is definitely a technique that Toastmasters advocate. It allows the speaker to share of themselves, thus drawing in the audience. They get an opportunity to see who this person is. They also get little tidbits of experiences that they can share as the person tells their story. So I particularly like storytelling, and particularly in this case, as the audience was drawn in and was, oh, what's happening next? That question of why am I hearing this and where was it going? Did the speaker use vocal variety? They used some vocal variety. I would suggest that because of the story and how it's told, some stronger vocal variety would add a little stronger impact. Also, pauses. For example, early on in the speech, when you say the doctor was going to play tennis, stop right there. Because for many people, that's kind of like a little screech. Whoa, what do you mean? He's going to play tennis? He's your doctor. When you talk about the baby not breathing, that is a very strong point in the story. Pause right there as everyone wonders what's happening, what's going to happen. You did not have any visuals, so that's not applicable. Again, storytelling, telling this story, using a little stronger vocal variety and pauses would add a greater impact. And just a little body language. Because we're on a Zoom, sometimes it's kind of hard, but some hand movements and particularly facial expressions can add a more, exactly like a smile or astonishment, can definitely add a stronger impact as you tell the story. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator. Michael, you're muted.
Excuse me. Thank you, Kawaza, for that evaluation. And now it's time to hear our timer report. Hank Cartwright, would you give us your timer report, please? You've got your, there you go. Great.
Oh, it's still here. Great.
All right.
Okay, tonight the first speaker, Alex Balish, had his speech was 14 minutes and 30 seconds. And the second speaker, Wade Cartwright, his speech was 6 minutes and 4 seconds. And the Alex was the first table topic speaker. His table topic speech was a minute and 5 seconds. And the second, Mike Pruitt, his table topic speech was a minute and 58 seconds. Lisa Thompson was a third table topic speaker. She was 2 minutes, 35 seconds. And fourth was Barbara Mariano. She was 1 minute and 49 seconds. And Cynthia Stott was fifth, and she was 1 minute, 58 seconds. And with the evaluations, Mike Pruitt was the first evaluator. His evaluation was 3 minutes and 19 seconds. And Kawaza Imara, his evaluation was 3 minutes and 22 seconds. And that's all. Back to us, Mr. Evaluator, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Hank. That was great timers report. Appreciate your hard work and keeping track of all the times for everyone. Now, next, report would be the All-Counter Grammarian report. Wes, would you please give us your report?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. A great speech and great time. And I would like to start with the word of the day. Who used the word of the day? Lisa, Alex, Kwaza, Barbara, Cynthia. I heard you used actually. Alex more than 3 times, Kwaza 2 times, Lisa, I believe 2 times. And if I miss anyone, let me know. And Alex's speech, you have so many phrases, words, and sentences I loved. Some of them are, I can mention some of them. There is no I in a team. That's beautiful. And knowing your role and stay in your lane. I love that. And one you said, being excited, being excited for being excited, and you repeating those words, and you said it beautifully. And I wish I can say it the way you said it. And what I could not write on my handwriting. And okay, there was no filler word when you give your speech, but when you had your question and answer, you had some repeating words like it is, and a few maybe you were thinking. Otherwise, your speech was perfect. And Dr. Wade, you have a few filler words and repeating words, and I didn't hear the word of the day you use. And Mike, I like the 3 words like engagement ring, wedding ring, and suffering. The ring when we have 3 rings. And if Bruce was here, I believe when you start, who's the first evaluator, and you said me, maybe I feel like Bruce will say I instead of me. I don't. And Kwaza, you use what did I say? I wrote your name and I wrote something, but I could not read what. I guess. And I love the quotes, all the quotes, Cynthia. The only time we need to give a speech to change the world, I like that quote. And your attitude determines your direction. I like that quote. And I think that's the only thing I wrote. And I believe it's back to you, Mr. G.E.
You're muted, Mike.
Thank you, Madam All-Counter Grammarian. Now my overall evaluation of the meeting. Wow, we got done on time. Amazing. I really enjoyed the speeches. We had a lot of good stories in the speeches. That was really interesting, kept my attention. And I enjoyed Wes's observations of quotes that she enjoyed hearing people say. And I really appreciated Lisa being here to be our Toastmaster of the day. She has a lot of good experience, had a lot to say. And I guess I would just leave you with the thought of the day. Here's a question for you. In what month do people talk the least? That would be February. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Yeah, that's
Because
clever.
we have only 28 days.
What?
Because we have 28 days, we talk less.
That's right. 28 days.
I thought it was because they were so busy loving instead of talking.
Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
So thank you so much, General Evaluator. It was a fabulous evening. And I'd like to pass the mic over to the Vice President of Education to see if we can get people to fill roles for our next meeting. Do we have a VPE in the house? Would someone like to take the VPE role and fill the roles for the next meeting? Okay, is there something else I'm missing?
We
What
have
I-
most of them filled already, I think. We do
Okay.
need a Toastmaster, but we have speakers.
Oh, that's good. Is there anything else we need besides the Toastmaster? Is this something you guys don't typically do at the end of your
Yeah, we
meetings?
don't typically do it. Yeah, we take care of
Oh,
offline.
I'm sorry.
But this is a
Okay, 'cause
time
we'll-
for our president to give us some words of wisdom.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Well, I was noticing that we had someone join our meeting. I was just going to give them a little recognition here. I don't see them right now. We had a person join us, Clifton Mayers. Welcome to dropping in, poking your head in the virtual room for a minute. Hopefully they'll come back. We had another guest earlier that apparently left, and hopefully they'll be coming back. Our guest speaker, Alex, you were our guest speaker and invited, but you're definitely getting an invite to just come back and be with us again. We enjoyed your speech, but we would also just enjoy you being with us as we do one of our regular meetings. We feel that this club definitely has, we got speakers. Some of our members are very new to speaking and yet stepping up and taking the risk, as it were. Hank Cartwright, our timer, is a very new member, like 6 months less, participated in speech contest this past Monday and took first place in evaluation. So we definitely appreciate seeing that. We have persons who, one of our members is not on with us tonight, but Michelle Waffle, who took first place in the speech contest. Again, a new member. So we feel that persons who come to our club feel a level of comfort in just participating and honing their skills. So come back and join us anytime. By the way, this is where you have an opportunity to just share some of your thoughts about being with us on this Thursday evening.
Is that me?
That's
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wasn't sure. I just, you guys do, it's a little bit different than our club, but everything was done well. And, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
We have 7 minutes left. We could go round robin and have other guests comment on how they liked the meeting. And you have more time to speak if you'd like to, Alex.
No, I mean, it's challenging when you're trying to get roles filled. I mean, we have the same issue in our club, and that's just Toastmasters. But it's just nice that people kind of fill in, step up, and everybody kind of works together as a team, so to speak. But that's why you want to have the different roles. you know, not everybody likes every role, and that's one thing that you do the roles you like, but sometimes you have to do the roles you don't hate or tolerate. But
Always
that's
have a speech in your back pocket.
I always
Because
have
if
to
you
have a
come into a
speech.
room and you ask for a role and they say our speaker's missing, you
I
might
know,
need to
right?
step up
I
to
know.
the
I
plate.
just my only thing was I thought I was going second, but that had nothing to do with you guys. I thought I was going second, but other than that, you guys, you know, we, like I said, we just do. Since I'm the Zoom master, I just do things different. And when we had our speech contest, I learned some things from the person doing the Zoom. So you learn something from everybody, and you know, and I think that's the main thing that is important. Is that
How long
learn
have you
things.
been in Toastmasters, Alex?
It's been a year.
A year.
Yeah,
You're an
January.
amazing speaker. Wow.
Well,
And what
I don't
other
know,
clubs are you part of?
just one. That's all I can take.
And which
So I
one is
can,
that? Are you part of
Leaders worldwide.
Yeah.
Leaders worldwide.
Yeah,
So,
I thought so. I've got to
and
start getting to those meetings. So it's
yeah,
a real
so
pleasure having you here.
yeah, it's just, you know what it is. It's timing.
Oh, I
You
get it.
know,
I'm East
yeah, I mean,
Coast.
we're
I
on the East
totally get
Coast,
it.
so it's 11 o'clock. But even still, it's like it's a big commitment to sit at a meeting, and at least virtually, the advantage of it is you can go click and go to wherever you want to go.
Yep.
The
Yep.
disadvantage is you don't have that interaction with people. Like, as a speaker that does CPR and does different types of talking, you know, having that energy of the room, which is a good thing, is there's a lot of positive. The nice thing about Zoom is if the energy isn't there, it's also a good thing. No, but you want to make sure that you can get people engaged. You see them nodding and moving, and like I said, the one thing that I do that I like to know as much about the audience as I can. You know, I wouldn't, if I gave this speech to a different group, I might do different examples.
Exactly.
And that's the thing about speeches. I mean, I go back to, you know, the I Have a Dream speech. The whole second half wasn't written. He just
Right.
decided to come up with it. And I think that's the main thing. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. You know, there was something on Toastmasters International about the one of the winners, and it was in the YouTube comments, and somebody had put that the guy was too theatrical, and it's like this big long thread about, was he too theatrical? You know what? Yeah, he was. You know why? Because we're not talking about, that's what we do here. We speak, and part of being a speaker is, you know, you have to bring all the stuff. I mean, two of the greatest speakers ever were Lincoln and Douglas, and they just battled it out for a whole year. And I think that there's a lot to be said when you have to deal with people in front of you and you're trying to get them to do this and move in there. That's hard. And if the person that put that, I don't know if he put it to just cause a little stirring, but that's what it's about. You're putting a show on. And I say that because in my line of work, it's hard because you have people that just don't want to do what they're doing, and you got to do a little soft shoe, pull rabbits out of your hat. So anyway, I've talked too much. Sorry.
Never. You could never talk too much.
Don't
Alex.
say that to my wife. She
We
would
love
beg to
listening
differ.
to you. And
she'd
it's
beg to
wonderful
differ.
that she's patient and allows you to come.
All I know is everybody's got a cross to bear, and she's a teacher, so she's been in bed since 8 o'clock.
Whoa.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight, Alex. And again, you're welcome to join us anytime. Time differentials, you know, notwithstanding. Lisa, thank you very much for being our Toastmaster of the day. We appreciate it. Hank,
Always my
thanks for the
pleasure. Thank you
timing.
for the opportunity. It was great. I've been on meetings all night. At 7 o'clock, like I said, I went to a local club because we have this incentive in our district for traveling gavel. So you have to visit 10 clubs and fill in roles. So I had a slot, and I thought, gee, I'll go to this club and I'll take timer or something easy. No, they wanted me to do a speech, and then I couldn't share my screen, so I couldn't use a deck. So it was an 8 to 10, and it was impromptu. And I talked all about table topics and crafting your best table topic. It was great. So, and I will be doing a table topics training, 3-part training starting February 22nd, which I know is a Thursday night and your time slot. But if you're interested in learning more about table topics, that one will be recorded, and the following 2 weeks will not be on a Thursday night. 1 week will be on a Tuesday, 1 week will be on a Wednesday, and all 3 of the trainings will be about crafting and asking table topics and all kinds of different styles of table topics and just having the best table topics possible, because table topics really form the core of any speech. So if you can do a table topic, you can easily do a 5 to 7 or an 8 to 10 or a 20-minute, because you have that basic format. So if you can learn the format and do it in 2 minutes and make it powerful, the rest of it's easy. So I hope that you'll come to my 3-part training.
Please share that with us via email so that we can get the particulars.
Yeah, we're going to get a flyer made and I'll share that flyer with all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Barbara, good to see you as well. And it is just about time for our meeting to end. We do try to be on time, particularly appreciating those who are in different time zones in the country and on the planet. Thank you, everybody, for this wonderful meeting tonight. Just want to wish everybody to have a great evening and a great weekend. And if you're into sports, may your team win.
The 49ers,
Somebody's winning.
right?
Whichever sport, there is a basketball tournament going on, by the way. So
A small little one, right?
yeah,
It's going to be started. I think there's 64 teams. I'm not really sure.
oh,
Is
not
that the
that
March-
one.
I
This is
know.
The
the-
March Madness thing?
Not
No,
yet.
No, not yet.
Not
Not
yet?
yet.
No, this is a little regional.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do you all a favor and root for the 49ers. I can't stand this Chiefs.
I'm rooting for the team in red.
Ah,
Is that the Chiefs? Or they're
No,
both
they're
in
both
red?
red.
they're both red.
You guys have a nice night. Talk to you soon.
Everybody
You too,
be
Alex. Good
well.
seeing
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
Alex.
Good seeing
night.
you, Wilson. Bye,
Good night,
Cynthia.
Lexon.